Then we're going to spend more time, I promise, than on my introduction. We're going to spend more time on the Azure security. Um, my name is Sergey. You will spend with me for the next couple of hours. I'm an instructor, consultant, speaker at the conferences. I do have I'm a Microsoft Most Valuable Professional in security in this area of Azure security. I do have, of course, all of those certifications from Microsoft about security, including security engineer, which is our topic of our masterclass. Um, when I deliver my sessions, I really like to show live demos, and that's what you may expect in this session. We're going to focus more on the live stuff. So how does it work? Of course, we are kind of limited in time. We will not be able to see everything, but at least during the next 2 hours, you will be able to get some kind of ideas what Azure Security has. All right, I promise that I will not spend too much time on my introduction. Let me quickly show you the agenda and what we're going to do in the next 2 hours. So we first have a quick introduction into Azure Security. We'll take a look at the Azure Security concepts. And so here in the first part, I would like to tell you why we're going to use all of those services, why Azure Security is so important and why it's structured like this. So we will make quick introduction. Then we will take a look at the important component called Identity and Access Management. After that, secure data and applications. As you can guess, it will be something related to some kind of databases and so forth. And then threat detection and incident response. We'll spend a few minutes on Q&A. So that should be a pretty dynamic session. All right, so just want to warn you that the introduction will be more theoretical because I promise you live demos, but there will not be any demos in the introduction. But after we reach to identity and access and so forth, we'll be able to do more hands-on. All right, so let's quickly move to the first part, which is introduction to Azure security concepts. Here in this section, I would like to explain you why do we have all of those solutions that we're going to cover in this masterclass. Because if I just jump right into identity and start showing you technical solutions right away, yeah, you will understand that, oh, we have a number of solutions, but why this solution? Why not another? How do they work together? And why do we need them in general? So you may understand the separate components, but not the complete picture. And so to properly assemble the solutions together, we need to understand why. And here, I'm going to show the slide that you probably saw before, maybe not like that. Oh, that's a bit of an animated. But you probably heard about zero trust before. So zero trust principles. And when it comes to security of the of Microsoft and many other companies, you may hear about zero trust and zero trust principles. They are so important, and that's what we use most of the time to build. So to build the security architecture, which we're going to cover in the next slide. So first, zero trust principles. You can see. Let me show you all of them because you probably heard of them before. Zero trust principle is the core to build the secure architecture. And so generally speaking, what we're going to do, we're going to implement zero trust principles with different solutions that we have in Azure. Assume breach, verify explicitly, use least privilege access. So those core principles that we're going to implement with different Azure solutions, Azure security solutions. So zero trust principles, based on them, we build the architecture. And here's just an example because many companies and organizations they have their own vision of the zero trust architecture. But here I would like to quickly show you like a mapping of the zero trust architecture and different Microsoft solutions. Again, we're not going to go through the whole slide and just check every single entry on the slide. I just want to show you that how the some like a known in the industry frameworks can be implemented by using different security features that we have in Azure. Not only Azure, by the way, because here you may find Purview, Defender for Office 365. So it's not really limited to our webinars. Like it's not only what we have in our webinar, but just an example. Zero Trust architecture, the implementation of Zero Trust principles can be mapped to different services that we have in Azure, in Microsoft 365, and so forth. So generally speaking, if you look at every solution that we cover in this course, you will find some kind of reference to one of the Zero Trust principle. So generally speaking, it's not just a random combination of the different solutions. We still build in the Zero Trust architecture based on the Azure and other security solutions. All right, so that's the very quick about basics. And one more slide that you need to also understand real quick is that Microsoft, in our case, Microsoft, is a cloud provider, but cloud provider doesn't take full responsibility of your resources, because you still have a control as the customer, and if you have a control, you are responsible of that yourself. So but because you have a control, you're responsible, but still you don't control everything. For example, if you're deploying virtual machine in Azure, you don't control hardware or you don't control the hypervisor. In that case, it will be responsibility of provider. And altogether, it is called shared responsibility. So we share responsibility between cloud provider and customer and the customer. So provider, of course, in our case, Microsoft. Customer is you, me, or someone else. So general rule, if you can control something, it is your responsibility. So if you can modify, if I can configure firewall, then it will be my responsibility. If I cannot do it, and then it's not my responsibility, it will be responsibility of the provider. So general rule will be like that. You can find also different models, cloud models, like on-premises, IaaS, PaaS, SaaS, and depends on the model, we may have different level of responsibility on the customer side. I bet you heard about that many times, about shared responsibility. And I don't need to go through all of those models and tell about them one more time. But if you never heard of this, then please check it yourself, because it is important to understand that a provider will not take full responsibility of everything that you have in your Azure subscription, or maybe in Microsoft 365, depends what we are talking about. All right, so that's all about introduction, because mostly in this webinar, as I promised you, we will do live demos. But just please keep in mind, all the things we're going to discuss now, all different solutions, they are not random, not just random solutions, they are pieces of the puzzle that can be collected together just to build a zero trust architecture. And first collection of pieces will be identity and access management. We usually start from identity and access because without secure identities, it doesn't make everything else doesn't make sense. So let's say you have like firewalls, threat protection, SIEM system, and so forth. But if attacker simply knows your password and you don't have MFA configured, then game over anyway. So secure identity is one of the cornerstone of our security architecture. So we always start from I mean, not always, but we start from identity and access management. And here in identity access management, you may find a number of solutions. And the first solution is Entra ID. So this one. Entra ID will be our cloud identity service that actually provide with authentication authorization. And that's where we first rely on, because all the rest, like MFA, Airbag, and so forth, is based on Entra ID. So Entra ID itself is the service that already protected by Microsoft. It's a shared service. This service is deployed by Microsoft, managed by Microsoft, and protected by Microsoft. And you have what is called tenant, where you have your users, groups, and so forth. Again, don't forget about shared responsibility. You're still responsible for your own data, for your own users and your own devices. But Entra ID as the infrastructure is well protected by Microsoft. So you don't need to, protect the main controllers in this case, because there are no domain controllers. It is a shared cloud service where that is managed by Microsoft. Okay, so let me quickly move my portal, and I can see here Entra, and all solutions that we discussed before. I mean, not all other solutions on the slide. They are available and under the Entra. Normally, I will show you demos after I go through bullets on the slide. That will be only one exclusion, because I just want to show you that Entra is the umbrella. And under Entra, we see lots of other solutions, like, role-based access control, conditional access, multi-factor authentication, and so forth. So Entra itself, as the service, is well protected by itself and contain lots of features. Let's take a look at those. Let's first go through them, and then I'm going to show you all of that in the demo. Airbag, role-based access control. So all privileges that we have in Entra and in Azure, they are based, not all privileges, but most privileges, they are based on roles. So you don't assign separate privileges, you just assign the role, and together with the role, user receives the privileges, which allows to structure that better and apply better governance policies on that if it's based on roles, not just a random permissions. And you can also align it with the different job titles, and so not just a random role, but it's the role that a user might have in the company. Of course, number of roles in Azure may be much bigger than roles in the company, and not always 100% mapped to each other. But in general, we have role-based access control, where the access provided based on role assignment. So multi-factor authentication. This one is one of the most obvious, but the most important policies for identities, just to enable MFA for users, for everyone in the tenant, for all users. Maybe there are some exclusions for the break glass accounts, but for most users, that business users, we need to enable multi-factor authentication. And obviously, it must be enabled for all administrators. So MFA should be enabled for everyone, or let's say almost everyone, because we still have lots of accounts that may not be related to user. How are we going to enable MFA? We're going to do it with policies. There is a unique service in Entra called conditional access, which is one of the keys to zero trust architecture, because with this service we can really do what is called verify explicitly principle. And so with conditional access, we can configure policies, and based on the policy, we may allow access or not allow access, or require some additional verification like MFA. One of the things about the role assignment, roles, if we assign the roles, like we mentioned here before, if we assign the roles, this role will be assigned forever, for like until you revoke this role, you revoke this role assignment from the user. Which again in the companies will be very hard to manage, because eventually users will have lots of roles assigned, will become overprivileged, and so forth. And even if a role is actively used, it's still, users still don't use it 24/7, right? So people need to have time for the rest, to have a rest. And maybe like some users work during the day, but they don't work during the night. So, and even if user actively use the permissions during the day, still he or she doesn't need those permissions during the nighttime. We need to have the ability to give permissions only for the time period when user actually use them. And what we can do here, we can use PIM, or privileged identity management solution, to activate privileges only for the time period, for the short time period. Do you remember what kind of principle it will be? Least privilege access. And one more service that I would like to mention on the slide before I jump to demo is identity protection. Now they have the new name called ID protection. It's a bit like a shorter name, ID protection. This one allows me to monitor what users do, and what users like what happened with the user. And based on that, it will make a decision automatically if user is risky or not, and if signing of user is risky or not. And then you can use conditional access to use this risk level as the condition. We'll see that we will see that soon. So just wait a second. I'm going to show you that in the live demo. And the last thing you can see here, monitoring. We can see we have number of features to monitor user sign-ins, user access. And so as the result, we can find if access was like successful, failed, from which location, and so forth. All right, so it's time to jump to demo. I'm going to start from the airbag roll back. Oh no, let's do this. Let's combine airbag together with the PIM, and then so that will be a bit easier, that we will not jump back and forth. So let's first discuss MFA, conditional access, and ID protection. After that, we will talk about airbag and PIM. So let's start from this, from initial access, MFA, ID protection. Since we don't going, I'm going to drag a different portal. And here, if I look at the Entra, I can see that current user that logged into the tenant is my user with global admin privileges. We'll talk about global admin and so forth and in the airbag section. And I can see here that there's a menu called multi-factor authentication. All right, and so if I go there, it just tells me like MFA is very important. Use MFA to protect your users, and let me click on that. And so now it opens for me the page when it shows me different factors. So when we talk about MFA, multi-factor authentication, it might be different factors. So we have a password and something else. And here you can see some examples. Like it might be your application, might be some biometrics, smart card, and so forth. And one of the quite common and cheap solution for the MFA is called Authenticator. Because this one is just a mobile application that works on iOS or Android, and generally speaking, every user nowadays have a smartphone, so we can use that quite easy. Okay, how can we enable MFA? And we can enable MFA with conditional access. I mean, it depends really, because it depends on your licenses, but the most common way to enable that is conditional access. Let me quickly show you both ways. So if your company doesn't have Enter ID P1 license, yeah, I know we don't talk much about licenses, but if you don't have a license, then what you can do, you may go to overview of your tenant, and under properties, you can find here what is called security defaults. So this one will be handy if you would like to enable MFA without any licenses. So you have like just a tenant, enter tenant without any additional licenses, which is very uncommon, but still. So here you can enable security defaults. Oh, sorry, my bad. Go back. Security defaults, properties. And in that case, it will give you MFA policies for free, but they will not be very flexible. So you just need you will not be able to configure them. It will be just applied to everyone. That's not our method. So our method will be conditional access. Conditional access allows me to be more flexible. I configure policies with exact conditions that I want. Let me quickly go to conditional access that you may find on the left-hand side and go to policies. And here I have a list of policies that I already have deployed. Most of those policies are already turned off, but I will turn them on one by one just to show you some of the effects. So here I have two policies that require MFA. Here I require MFA from administrators, and I also require MFA from the roles that apply to administrators. Let me click on the first policy, MFA for admins. I can see this users, and here I can see two users that have MFA enabled. And regardless of the application that they log in, MFA will be required. So we require MFA from those users, regardless of the location from which they sign in, or from the portal they sign in, application they sign in. They will be always required to do MFA, because those users I consider as sensitive, and they need to do MFA all the time. Let me quickly create a new policy just to deploy policy for one more user. Before I do that, I would like to quickly sign in to the user account that doesn't have MFA enabled. I mean, it has MFA enabled, but not required. So MFA already registered, but it doesn't require me to do MFA all the time. So let's test first sign in without MFA, just a normal sign in, and then we will play with the policies. I'm going to sign in to outlook.office.com. So that's the mailbox. And here I'm going to provide username and provide password. And nothing. You can see there is no MFA, nothing. I was able to sign in, no issues. Okay, so then I'm going to close the app. So let's make sure the app is closed. Let's create a new policy. Let's call that Netcom Masterclass. I'm going to keep this name just for. Of course, you should give more meaningful names for the real policies. And I would like to apply this policy only to a single user. It will be user name msmith. And when users sign in to specific cloud application or to any cloud application, let's say this user is going to sign in to Office 365. or I can sign into specific cloud application like Exchange Online, but let's do all Office 365 applications. And then in controls, I will choose require multi-factor authentication. So now we create a quite simple policy without any conditions, just user that sign in to Office 365. And I would like to turn on this policy to require MFA from this. Oh, sorry, I need to click on select and click on create. So that's it. Now if I find a netcom, not yet, it found it, fresh, netcom masterclass, now it should be enforced. So if I try to sign in again, and provide credentials, fingers crossed, it might take some time. It may not be immediate, but normally it should be good. So the Office 365 did not. Let me add one more application just in case. Let me add here Exchange, the Office Exchange Online. And let's try one more time. It might because of the timing or maybe application, but application should be good. Let's try one more time. Yep, now it requires MFA. And so I need to first prove my application and provide the numbers. Great. So now MFA is required. I cannot just simply sign in by knowing password. Now it requires multi-factor authentication. It's very simple policy, but this policy should be implemented for most users that you have. Here I deployed on the single user, and that's where we need to start from, of course. I mean, not single user, group of user, of course. We need to start from, but little by little, we need to increase the scope. And until we cover most of the users, again, we cannot cover all the users because we may have a break glass accounts that need to have some policy, so exclude from the policy. What we can do, we can say to all users, and then exclude my accounts that called like a break glass account. And in that case, I will not break my emergency accounts. At the same time, I will cover all my users. All right, hope it makes sense. And so MFA deployed with conditional access policy is the one that one of the important policy that we need to do. Of course, we can take it to the next step. We may choose what exactly you would like to have as the second factor, because here, let me go back to the policy and click on controls. I can just say require MFA, and now user can choose which factor. User can choose authenticator application, or user may choose whatever is available in the company, because there we can enable number of factors. User can choose even if there is SMS enabled for them. Most companies are right now disable it, but if so, now user can choose which factor they want to use. What we can do instead, we can require specific factors. It might be like a more restrictive MFA policy. So if I choose here require authentication strength, here administrator requires specific factors. So for that, I first need to go to another menu called authentication methods, as you can see on the left. And under authentication strength, I can choose what methods I would like to enforce, what methods I would like to require. And you can see here number of methods, like a password plus authenticator, password plus SMS, authenticator without password, only numbers. Sorry. So we can choose here what factors we would like to enable. Not just enable, but require. After that, we create authentication strength. So you can see here I have 3 built in, and I can choose which one I would like to enforce. And of course, I can create my own combination and enforce specific number of factors. All right, that's the simple MFA policy that can be done as more flexible, that user can choose whatever they want, or we can even require specific factors from the user. So let me take a look at them. So that's about MFA. Let me take a look at the other common use cases for conditional access policies. So here I can use conditions and add more nuances, more conditions into my policy. One of the most well-known condition is called location, which currently was moved to the upper level, to network. So at this point, this and this, they are the same. So I can configure it from the network level or from the location level. It's either way. Let me click on the network. So what I can do here, I can add as the user location as the condition. So user IP address, user country where user is located currently, I can add as the condition. Let me quickly change the policy. Oh yeah, so that's fine. Michael Smith, that's fine. I didn't apply it for all users. And now what I would like to do, I would like to configure location. And let me say that I would like to block access for this user. So Michael Smith now cannot sign in. And you may say, okay, what's the point? Okay, user cannot sign in, but we can just disable user. Why do you need a policy for this? What you can do, we can exclude some locations from the policy, and as the result, user the location will be excluded from this policy. So here, what I did now, for user Michael Smith, when user signs in to one of the, probably in this case, I need to choose all resources. When user signs in to any of those, any cloud resource, access will be blocked unless user is signing from Netherlands, because Netherlands is excluded location. Okay, makes sense? So we block access for any location except Netherlands. Okay, so let me save that. And now let's take a look at my current location. So my current location here, oh great, it doesn't show me my normal IP address. Okay, let's do something else. Let's say my IP.com. It will show me the country as well. All right, so my country here is Portugal. It's not Netherlands, so access for this user should be blocked from Portugal. I'm going to try. So let me try to sign in from Portugal. Now my expectation, access will be blocked. Also, please keep in mind, it takes a bit of time before policy applies, so it may not apply immediately, but fingers crossed, it's already there. Yep. So access is blocked. Now let's try something else. I have a virtual machine, and this virtual machine is in Netherlands. And now it should work. Outlook, that office. So my expectation, it will work because Netherlands is excluded from the policy. Yep, it works. Like it works perfectly. I mean, not perfectly, but it requires MFA. Um, at least it did not block me. All right, so that was conditional access. And now one more thing with conditional access. Do you remember we talked about ID protection that will monitor user, what happened with user signing. Let's take a look at this and how it works together with conditional access. So ID protection is one more service that will contribute to conditional access. I mean, not to contribute, not conditional access, but work together with conditional access. So we have a built-in service in Entra that will monitor risky users, I mean user risk and the science of this risk. Also, it has the different risky workloads, risky agents, but that's a different story outside of this course. Let's just take a look at something simple like users and sign-ins. So if I open my user, I can find here that my user Michael Smith as at a risk, has high risk level, and why. On the right hand side, you can find why user is risky, because it has some malicious IP addresses, anonymous IP addresses, so some kind of malicious sign-ins. And the user became risky, and it was accumulated on the user under user profile. Now, what I can do, I can I can use this risk as the condition. So probably the slide's not super informative, so let me move portal back. I can use this risk level as the condition in my conditional access policy. Let's take a look at this. I'm going to go back. So first, I would like to disable this policy because it blocks access for me. So let me disable it. Fingers crossed it will not take long to apply the policy. And I have here a number of policies I use for demos. And here there are two policies called risky user and risky sign-in. So let me look at the risky user policy. So in this case, when user signs in, and if user is risky, so if there's a condition with the user risk, we will require something. In my case, I require password change. Why password change? Because password change is the way to remediate risky user state. And so as the result, if I change my password, then user will become clear again. So risk state will be removed. Okay, let's try it. I'm going back to the same portal where I was blocked. I hope my previous policy already stopped applying. And let me try to sign in. Okay, so user was able to sign in. Now it's time to go back to my policies and turn this policy on. So now let me sign again. I'm going to do it on a different screen. Fingers crossed again, and look at this. So first it asks me for MFA. It's normal, it asks for MFA, that's fine. Now look at this. It asked me to change my password. After I change my password, user will be remediated because password change is the way to remediate. Okay, let me close that and disable the policy. And one more policy I would like to enable is called risky sign-in. So what this policy is all about? So this one will be about current sign-in, just a real-time sign-in. And if the sign-in seems to be like suspicious, it might get blocked. I mean, it will be a condition. And in this case, I block access if the sign-in is suspicious, if the sign-in has the risk. So here I would like to try to sign in again. Let me sign in to my mailbox one more time. No problem. Now if I do it again, but this time from Tor browser, which is known as something not good. I mean, might be good for attackers, but normal users normally don't use it. If I try to sign in with it from the Tor browser, my expectation is that the policy should block me because this sign-in is going to be risky. Tor browser is not fast. If you ever use that, you know. Fingers crossed. Yes, it was blocked. So now the policy works fine, and it blocked me from signing when the risk sign-in risk was demonstrated. All right. So that was conditional access policies together with ID protection. So you can see how those things work together and how add value to each other. I would like to cover two more things, and we're going to finish with identities and move to the next topic. Do you remember airbag and PIM? Let's take a look what they are, because we talked before about normal user sign-ins, but now let's say user signed in, that's fine. User can, I mean, user or administrator, doesn't matter. User can sign in, but user may also have some privileges. Regular users, like just standard users, may not have additional privileges, but when we talk about administrators, they do have the privileges, and they do have roles assigned. So we can assign privileges to them if we assign roles. Here you can see the list of roles available in Entra. On list of roles. The most privileged role, of course, is global administrator. You probably know about that. And here's the list of roles. And you can click onto any roles, let's say Teams administrator, find description of the role, find permissions. So you can see here like a API view and more like a normal English language description for the permissions. And I can see which user has this role assigned. So let me go back to my and let me click on the admin. Let's take global admin. Oh no, you will know who's global admin in my company. I mean, in my demo tenant. Let's take security reader. I can see here that there is a special service principal called Gen AI SOAR Auth, which is the reader of the security, has the role security reader. I can find out more roles, like security administrator. So here we have two assignments. Those guys, Morton and Milton, they are security administrators in this tenant. So when we assign the role, those users receive permissions. We can assign the role to user, to group of users, but the fact is the same. When we assign the role, we assign privileges. Also, we may assign not only a role in Entra, but also a role in the in Azure. Let me quickly drag this portal, and let me take, let's say, my syslog server. And here under any resource, I do have what is called access control. If I click on that, I may find the roles that can be assigned for this resource. Yeah, that's the different set of roles. The same approach when we assign a role, but this time those roles have different scope. And now this role is not about Entra, not about Teams, Exchange, or security services. Those roles are about the resources like virtual machines, networking, and so forth. In our course AZ500 in our masterclass, we cover both roles, so you need to be aware of both. So here I can assign roles for the resources. So I can click Add, Role Assignment, and choose the role that I would like to assign. You can also find that there's a standard roles and privileged roles. If I choose privileged, I can find some roles like contributor, click Next, and choose who will have the role assigned. Select members and find out my users. Let's say Michael Smith, user, will have a role assigned. Click Review and Create, and make an assignment. Sorry, not create, review and assign, and we'll make an assignment. So that's about role-based access control. But now important component of that is to make sure that when we assign the role, a role will not be assigned forever. Otherwise, it might be a problem. Because if I work like from 9 to 5, after 5, my permissions should disappear. Because if my account will be compromised during the nighttime, attacker should not have permissions to have privileges. So how can we sort that with privileges? For this one, we have the feature for a solution called PIM, or Privileged Identity Management. So this is one of the most well-known Enter ID features. So here you can make a role assignment because of the PIM. You can make a role assignment, but this role assignment will be limited in time. So if I look at and I can do it from different roles, for Entra roles, from Azure roles, even for group membership. Let's see the example with Entra roles because it's either way works in the same manner. If I look at the list of roles, I can see list of roles. And for example, I can see that application administrator has the role assignment. And let's take a look. So when we enable PIM, there's a two role assignment. Active, which is more like a classic without PIM role assignment. And what we get uniquely with PIM is called eligible assignment. So with eligible, user will not have a role permissions activated all the time. It will have like a assignment that doesn't have permissions unless activated. So now I can see my Michael Smith user has eligible assignment. Okay. I can also configure role settings that it says for how long user may activate privileges. Does it require MFA when he activate privileges? Do we require approval? And if there's approval, who will be approver? So all that stuff. So now we can test it. If I sign in to portal.azure.com. So nowadays, all this portal requires MFA. That's the default Microsoft policy. And now if I look at the portal, I can see I have permissions to see virtual machine, but that's it. If I look at the Entra ID and click on the enterprise applications, oh, you don't have access. Oh my God. This user doesn't have privileges to see Entra. All right. So then let's try something else. I'm going to open PIM as the user. I can find my roles and click on activate against the role application administrator. It offers me activation for 2 hours. That's fine. So let's click activate for 2 hours. And it says that because approval is enabled, I need to make an approval. Okay. So I'm going to go back to admin experience. Different portal, sorry. But I can also do it from this portal. That's fine. So here, go to governance. Now it's still their own portal. Okay, so we have it here. Now I can click on approve, give justification, like 1, 2, 3 or whatever. Click on confirm. And now request was approved. And if I, sorry, I have 2 accounts, 2 different accounts. So that's why we're in different portal. Now, if I just refresh the portal and look at the enter ID now, this time I should have permissions. Applications, yeah, it doesn't show me that it was blocked, and I can see now all of these applications. Application, and so forth. Okay, so that was Entra and the identity and access. I hope that was clear and informative. Do you remember perks, benefits of the webinar? So there is a promo for the AZ500 course, and that can be used, or SC200, which is operations, can be used to get 50% off if you use this promo code until March 31st. So just let me click on that. Click my Office Trust to this website. So here we have like a Netcom website with AZ500 course, and you may find some dates where this course is expected to run. And so, yeah, of course, there's not much before 31st of March, but you need to just subscribe, and you can choose date later on in the future. So in that case, you will get 20% off. One important thing that you need to keep in mind, which may be one of the reasons why you would like to take a course as soon as possible, or vice versa, is that this course and this exam will be retired in somewhere in August. And so in fact, next 6 months or even less is your last chance to take this course and the exam if you want to take an exam. Why it might be important to take this course and not wait for the next one is because this course, what is unique about AZ500 is the single course contains identity, Azure security, and operations, which will be retired, And then if you would like to learn about identity, you need to take a separate course. If you would like to learn about operations, you need to take a separate course. If you would like to learn about Azure security, you need to take separate courses. So they will be all separate. Yeah, there are more time will be allocated, but it's still lots of courses. Here, the single course contains lots of stuff, which you may consider as the benefit or the downside, depends how you prefer to call it. All right, so that was some of the additional benefit to webinar, in addition to the new knowledge. All right, so let's make a short break, around, let's do 5 minutes break. And after 5 minutes, maybe you need to take some water or whatever. We're going to continue.
Thank you so much, Sergey. Hello, everyone. I am Ria, and now I would like to take over and go through the badge redemption part. I'm excited to announce that all the participants in today's masterclass have been given a free exclusive access to Easy 500 courseware. And the best part is you also get to claim your digital achievement badges on Microsoft Learn to Celebrate Your Fundamental Skilling journey. Issued by Microsoft, these badges can help you highlight your newly acquired skills and boost your career potential. Let's take a quick look at the steps that you need to follow. So, on the right hand side, you can see a QR, and if you have your mobile phone handy, you can just scan this and use a mobile phone landing page to redeem your courseware and certificates. And if currently you're on your PC or laptop, you don't have to worry. This button over here, this is a clickable button. By clicking on this, you can redeem your courseware and certificates. So let's quickly see three steps that you need to follow to redeem your courseware and certificates. So step number one is sign into your Microsoft Learner account using your personal or professional Outlook or Hotmail account. And if you already signed in, you will directly be seeing step two. This button over here, this is also a clickable button. By clicking on this, you can also redeem your courseware and certificates. So step number two is your unique code will already be pre-filled. You don't need to add anything over here. You just need to click on redeem button to redeem your code. So step number three is you will receive a message indicating that your achievement has been added to your profile. And now you just need to click on this view profile button, and now you can access your Microsoft official courseware module from the training tab. So we'll quickly show you an example how your redemption page would look like. So to generate or download your certificates, you need to follow three steps. First, you need to click on achievements, then courses, and you can see this printer icon over here. By clicking on this, you can easily generate or download your certificates. And after downloading it, you can showcase your achievement on your social media or LinkedIn. And don't forget to tag Netcom Learning with that. And if you have any query regarding the badge redemption part, our team is there in chat. You can just type your question and they will help you with that. And with that, I would like to leave you for the break. Thank you so much, everyone.
We are now going to take a 5-minute break, but before we do that, we are going to launch a quick poll that we want to invite you to participate in. Doing so helps us know how we can better serve you by telling us who might be interested in more information or in taking some additional training. In addition, we have a lot more informative webinars coming up, so please go to netcomlearning.com/webinars in order to register.
All right, welcome back. Welcome back from the break. I hope you did all the things that you planned to do in the short but break. And then let's continue with the remaining session and play with our mm, Azure security services. I hope that was clear and informative. And from here, we are moving to the next piece, which will take a bit less time than the previous one, because Entra is that's the biggest part. But now we are moving to security of data and applications. What is that? In the cloud in Azure, we have our data, our blobs, our databases, our applications, and we would like to make sure that they are well protected. For example, if we trust the cloud, our data, we need to be aware of the cloud security, and also we need to have the additional services to protect our applications and some application communications and so forth. So for that, we have a number of features. First of all, encryption at rest and in transit. It means that the data of different services encrypted at rest. So if someone in the Azure data center steal the hard drive, they will not access your data. So your data is encrypted, and no one can access this data if they just get access to hardware. And encryption in transit means that communication between portals, between different components that we have in the cloud, they use secure connection. So eavesdropping will not help here to capture that data. So another one, Key Vault. Key Vault allows you to store secrets and keys for encryption securely into a special service called Key Vault. Also certificates, which is also common case, but less commonly used than keys and certificates. So the keys and secrets. So Key Vault allows me to store securely encryption keys or some kind of secrets that may be like connection strings, account keys, passwords, and so forth. So you can store them securely, and your application can retrieve them from this secure storage. Then our applications will be deployed. It might be deployed in virtual machines, of course, but virtual machines may not be the best solution, because virtual machine, you need to always protect yourself, install software updates, make a backup, and so forth. But if you choose PaaS services like platform as the service, and deploy your application in app service, then Microsoft will take care of the software updates, so you will not overlook like vulnerabilities that may appear on the operating system, and they'll take care of the software updates, the backup, and lots of maintenance. Also, we can deploy DevSecOps environment, which honestly is not really Azure security thing, but DevSecOps environment also has a number of security features. And one of the most important thing here, Defender for Cloud. Defender for Cloud is the service, is the solution that built into Azure as well. And it can give you so many different things. It may give you recommendations. How can you protect your services better? It can give you alerts about cyber attacks on your resources and so forth. So you will see so many different things in the Defender for Cloud. So let's do some demos as usual. As I said before, other parts, this part and the next part, will be a bit shorter. So let's jump into demo. just let me find out the right portal. And let's start from the. Let me just move to this slide so I will see what we have in the list, because here we can just use this list. Let's take a look at encryption at rest and in transit. In many services, you will find this as the reference. So for example, let me go to storage account and open any of my storage accounts. And if I look at the encryption, I can find here that storage is always encrypted. So storage service encryption protects your data at rest. And so it just enabled. You cannot even disable it. All you can do, you can change the key from the key that's managed by Microsoft to the key that's managed by you, by customer. That's all you can do, but it will be enabled automatically. Sorry, it's not all you can do. You can also enable double encryption with infrastructure encryption. So it's not all you can do, but I mean that you cannot disable the encryption. It's all enabled. Also, the same we can find in the databases, for example. Let me find SQL. Here, if I look at the transparent data encryption, I can find that encryption here is enabled, and I can change the key if a key managed by the service or by me as the customer. What is customer managed key? We will see slightly later when we reach the key vault. But at this point, you should understand that we have encryption at rest. Let's take a look what we can see encryption in transit. Generally speaking, you may find it everywhere. So if I would like to connect to my, maybe just a moment, let me just see if I often, that's not what I need to show. Let's try something else. Let's go to storage. So let me go to storage. Now I can go to storage. And if I look at the storage endpoints, I can see a number of endpoints. So blob service, HTTPS, and so forth. In theory, I mean, it's still possible to use HTTP, but by default, everything will force you to use HTTPS. You may find here under configurations, if I would like to enforce secure transfer, and it just enabled by default. It is possible to have non-secure only if I use my custom domain. In that case, I can disable this option. I can switch to an HTTP, but most of the time, especially with the default settings, we will have HTTPS. So the same about that. That's about storage. You may also find the portal itself, of course, always over HTTPS, and so forth. So we have encryption at rest, encryption in transit in everywhere, and most of the time by default. Let's go back to encryption and the customer. Do you remember about customer managed key, that we can bring our own key, but where those keys are going to be stored? And those keys will be stored in the special service called Azure Key Vault. Azure Key Vault. Let me find it real quick. It's a special service that stores keys. I'm going to open that, and let's take a look at the list of keys. Oh, great. I have private access here, so sorry, that's my security. Nope, it's not private access. What's going on then? Keys, connection to data of plane failed. Refresh and try again. Okay, so seems like now I need to switch to going on here. Let's grayed out. Okay, let's deploy the new one because probably something is wrong with this key vault. Let me quickly make a deployment of netcom. Netcom, and let's call that a new KV. Station. So it seems like the access policy that I used my old key vault already retired. So now new key vault, yes, here I need to have the right privileges. So let me give my to myself. Let me become key vault certificate or yeah, let's do secret crypto officer. Click next, choose the user, and let me find myself. Key vault security is quite important, and that's why even if I have like some kind of, if I'm a privileged user, I may not have the full permissions, even even if I'm like owner of subscription. Let me refresh the page and click on keys. And now I can see the list of keys that are currently there's nothing here. I can click on generate import. Let me create a new key. Let's call that new key, and click on create. What I can also do, I can create key right here, or I can import key from my key management system if I have it on premises, or you can even generate key using SSH, like, or whatever. So now I have a key, and if I go back to storage and choose any storage and click on configuration, oh, no, sorry, not configuration, encryption. And what I can do, I can choose customer managed key and choose the key vault, the subscription key vault, and I have my new key vault, and I can see the new key that I can use to actually encrypt my storage with this key. It may not only be used for the storage, it can be used for different services, but the key here, maybe the key idea, is that my encryption key is stored in the special service. And you saw that access control is quite tough, because even if I'm an owner, you can see this user that I'm using currently is the owner of subscription. But even if I'm an owner, I cannot just by default access those keys, and I need to have the special roles assigned for it. So key vault. Honestly, there are more scenarios with the key vault, but we have the masterclass here quite limited in time, so we cannot cover them all. Now let's take a look at the app service and the platform security. So what is that? App service platforms, app service, that's the PaaS service where we can deploy our web application, not only web application, but web application is one of those. And just by design, app service will be potentially can be more secure than virtual machines because virtual machines, they require software updates, firewall configuration, management, and so forth, maintenance, and so on. But app service will be managed by Microsoft automatically, and they will fix any vulnerabilities, and it's really quickly. So all the maintenance will be on the Microsoft side. You just deploy application and use it. And yes, you can apply additional configurations. If you need to make it more restrictive, you can do it. So for example, let's say I would like to go to networking. And here network is enabled with no access restrictions. But if I click on that, I can say I would like to make it available only for specific IP addresses. And here I can create rules and provide this kind of like IP address that may be allowed or vice versa denied. So I can blacklist IP addresses, whitelist IP addresses. So that will be up to me. So there is still the way to make it harder, but just by default, we have software updates installed automatically. We have backup automatically and so forth. So that's the way to publish your web applications and without maintain the actual platform where this application is hosted. You still make some configurations, but you don't need to do a maintenance on the operating system level. So that's about app service and the platform itself that gives you this secure service that more secure. So there's a DevSecOps, which I would like to combine with Defender for Cloud because Defender for Cloud also works with DevSecOps. So what they are, as you can guess, DevSecOps is the environment for developers, which also has like DevOps, which also has the security features. You can connect them to Defender for Cloud. And Defender for Cloud, that's the service that will actually give you recommendations and detect alerts and detect cyber attacks on your resources. Primarily, we'll find recommendations, and again, about DevSecOps, we'll find recommendations as well. So let's take a look at Defender for Cloud, and we'll see the DevSecOps session under Defender for Cloud. I'm going to drag the portal, and here, find Defender for Cloud in the left menu. So after I did that, I can take a look at the recommendations. This one is available for everyone, regardless of the payment, in the free account, in the paid account. But if you have a paid account, you may find that recommendations that from paid account might be a bit more informative. So for example, here I can see risk level, and if that like for free, you may not see the risk level, like an example. But in general, we will see recommendations. Let me quickly go through, and you may find here that I get recommendations from DevOps environment. That's from that's my GitHub. Now it says that in the in one of the scripts, I mean, if I click, I'll see that it's script. I have clear text login. Let's click on that. Clear text login credentials. So here it says, yeah, clear text login of sensitive information. All right, and I can take a look where they are, and that's the script on my GitHub that contains, of course, the purpose that contains clear text credentials. I think it was clear text credentials, but something sensitive was there. And so I can see here recommendations for different services. I have here recommendations for my GCP environment. That's the recommendation for GCP. And I can see recommendations for Azure. You may find here there's some kind of blurred risk factors, and the risk level is because for this subscription, I do not use paid service, and that's why it doesn't show me the risk level. Let me quickly fix that. I mean, it will not be fixed immediately, but that's how I'm going to show you how it can be fixed. If I take my subscription, I can enable Defender CSPM plan, which will require me to pay. So you can see here I have 6 resources. Um, hmm, 6 resources, and I need to pay $5 per resource. In that case, I will need to pay extra $30 per month. So if I do that, it will then fix the stuff with the evaluation of the risks and so forth. So Defender for Cloud allows me to see the recommendations. Let me go back to recommendations. If I follow them, I can make my environment much more secure. Let me, for example, take by the filter, and I would like to choose the resource type. And the resource type, let's see Key Vault. We already talked about Key Vault. Let's see recommendations for Key Vault. Oh, no, those think my Key Vault are fine. See something else. SQL Server. Do you have anything for SQL Server? Nope, not here. All right, what do I have? What is not good? Containers. Oh, yes. So I do have containers that have vulnerabilities that need to be resolved. And I definitely need to follow these recommendations with and fix vulnerabilities in my containers. So Defender for Cloud, it can evaluate my resources and give me recommendations. Also, what will do, it will give me alerts. It can detect attacks on my resources. So here it finds, for example, like malicious files uploaded on the storage, or SQL injection in the SQL database, or I also have AI service and jailbreak attempts in the AI, or also reconnaissance and AI, which means that attackers start talking to AI and just send prompts about finding the boundaries of the model and in the responses. So it was detected, and it will be detected if I enable different plans. So Defender for Cloud itself, fully for free, only gives you recommendations. But if you enable different plans, it can give you more features. So if I enable Defender CSPM, you saw that it may give me like risk score and many other things. But if I enable different plans down below, I may protect very specific services from cyber attacks. So if I enable that for databases, I can detect SQL injections and so forth on the database. If I enabled for the AI services, I can detect jailbreaks and other AI attacks, and so on. So if I enable for storage, I can detect malware on the storage. So all of this also requires additional plans that will require me to pay, and you may find here how much I need to pay if I enable them. So altogether is called Defender for Cloud, and again, one of the features of Defender for Cloud is DevSecOps. When we connect our GitHub DevOps environment from Azure, and then it will start to evaluate your DevOps environment and can give you some recommendations and make findings. Do you remember that? I can see I have one finding where I need to, with a high severity, where I need to remove clear text credentials. All right, so that was data and applications in the cloud. We have, that was demo. We have one part left that I need to show you. And then we're going to have Q&A, and we're going to close the session. Threat detection and incident response. What is that we have here? And you will not believe me, but Defender for Cloud is also part of this. Maybe not the only part, but also the part of this, because Defender for Cloud allows me to detect things. Do you remember alerts I showed you before? So it's the part of the threat detection. But Defender for Cloud is not the only one. We have a number of services that make detections, like Defender for Cloud, Defender for Endpoint, Defender for Cloud Apps. You know, there are different names. You don't need to memorize them. And also, there's a chance that they will be changed again. Microsoft do it periodically. But all of this information, all of those things, like from Defender for Cloud, from Defender for Endpoint, will be sent to SIEM system called Sentinel. That's where we have our incidents, alerts, and so forth. So let me quickly show you that. What is Sentinel? Where can we find it? Let me find real quick Sentinel. So Sentinel is the SIEM system. If you never heard of SIEM system before, again, I assume you do, but if you didn't, a SIEM system is the system that allows you to collect data, collect logs from different sources. Because one of the typical problem before we got SIEM system, one of the typical problem was, it was like, how can I have in the single place logs from the endpoints, identity, applications, and so forth? How can I have the same logs, like different logs in the single place? And that's what SIEM system can solve. Have logs from different sources into a single place. Microsoft provides Sentinel as the cloud native SIEM system, where we don't even have on-premises version of Sentinel. It's just only in the cloud. So let me quickly click on Sentinel, and my Sentinel is deployed a long time ago, and that's why I can still work with this Sentinel in the Azure portal. But nowadays, Microsoft integrates Sentinel into other portals. If you're aware of the different portal called XDR, so security portal, then you may find it here on the XDR portal. By the way, it says get your SIEM and XDR in a single place. I should have it in the single place. Come on. So this one has to be connected. Okay, so let's connect that one. Maybe I disconnected and forget to reconnect again. All right, so let me close that. And now it should have Sentinel. Now it might take a bit before I open any menu on the left. So if I click on the, let's say, data connectors, it might take me back to the settings. Yeah, it takes like 10 minutes before it realized that it was connected to the XDR. But the idea of the Sentinel nowadays is that we have unified experience with XDR and Sentinel. And now if you already have experience with the Microsoft Defender for Endpoint and so forth, now Sentinel works together with this XDR. So because it will take some time before it will be reconnected, let me go back to the previous portal, and and again, if you deploy the new workspace, you will not be able to do it. You have to use the security portal, but because my workspace was deployed some time ago, I can still use the Azure portal with the Sentinel. Let's take a look what we can do. First of all, I need from Sentinel, because the nature of SIEM system. Um, the nature of SIEM system that gather data from different sources. And here you can see that I can get data from Amazon, AWS, from storage, from Azure Activity, which means that what users did inside of Azure, from web application firewalls, and many, many others. So there are many connectors that we can configure. And if you say that's it, we know that there are other systems. Let's avoid naming them. Other systems that have more connectors, and why Sentinel is so limited. It is not. Actually, we need to deploy connectors first. So we need to avoid to avoid having garbage in our Sentinel. We don't have them just by default. We need to deploy them. So if you click on the Content Hub, and here I need to first install the solution, and after that, a connector will be available to me. So you may find here Cisco, Google platform, and so forth. So first we need to deploy the connector before we need to deploy the solution before we can actually configure connector. After we configure connector, we can actually take logs from that sources. So let me quickly go back to connector. And let's see that. For example, if I look at the enter ID and open it up, I can find here that I get some logs. Honestly, for some checkboxes that disappeared. I think when I move the subscription, it just removes some of my settings. So here I can see some of the logs I took before. So at this point on the graph activity, let me tick more boxes and take information about risky users, user risk, and so on. And I click on apply. So, and that will take logs from my Entra ID into Sentinel. And in the same manner, I configured that for other services. For XDR, now we don't need to do it with XDR because they're integrated by default. We configure it for Azure Storage, Azure Activity, and so on. So each connector has its own instructions how to configure, and they may be different, but in general, not very complicated. And if you need to create your own connectors or send data or send your custom data, it is also possible. So we're not, even if you need to go beyond available connectors, it's still possible. All right, so we connect data, and after that, after we have this data, let's see how this data can be retrieved. If I go to logs, I can see here many tables, and those tables are here because of the data source, because of the data was sent to Sentinel. Let's find something. Let's say audit logs, run that. Maybe in the last 24 hours. Oh, that's what we have here. So we have here lots of activity. So even if it didn't show me much in the settings, it still sent data. Let's take a look at the user sign-ins if we got this data. Oh yeah, it works. So even if connector didn't show me the checkboxes, it still worked, and it showed me the user sign-in. So successful sign-in, failed sign-in, and you remember that we play with conditional access policies. I can see here. Whoa. I can see here that users blocked by conditional access policy, or when we were forced to change password, it says password expired. And when I didn't change the password, it just blocked me, and so forth. Or location-based policies that require something from me. So I see those logs. I see those logs that I got into my Sentinel. And here we have a special language called KQL. That's the language that it's like a separate skill. And currently, many security solutions of Microsoft, they rely on this KQL language. So let me quickly switch to KQL mode and write some queries to find logs. Let's first find failed attempts. I can see here that the result signature tells me if it was failure or success. Also, we have different failures, different codes. But let's first make let's first filter by the result signature. Let's say where result signature. I really appreciate that they do have IntelliSense. And then equals to that. So we need to use two equal signs. And two equal signs means case sensitive. So I need to use uppercase here. And let's run that. And now it's shown me only failure. All right. Now what I would like to do, I would like to check all the reasons why it was failed. So I'm going to summarize. And let's count. I'll just do it like this without summarize. Distinct first. Distinct, and then see result description. Description. I don't see result. That. And here I can see 6 reasons why user may not sign in. Why it was failure. Okay. I can also count how many of each. But this time, let me summarize. Count by result description. That. And I can see 4 times we were blocked by access policy, by conditional access policy. 3 times password change required. 4 times password expire. 6 times this message. Access has been blocked by conditional access policy. The policy does not allow login issuance. And 1 time each of those. So I can slice them differently with KQL. I can add more filters. I may find, so I can see, for example, not only results, but also result type, I guess. Yeah, so different code. And I can just filter by specific code. Let's say I would like to see only when result type was five 3003. In that case, I don't need to summarize anything anymore and just run it and see the actual logs. I think it's more than I saw before. More times than I saw. When we had this result, with the access blocked by conditional access policy. All right. So it seems like they have different description. This is the same code, a different description. That's why. I can also finally let's summarize count by result description. That We can see different descriptions, and let's render it. So let's say render and do a column chart around that, and we have like those kind of visuals. So that's the Sentinel logs that we actually can see and make a log search. By the way, I think that we already can use Sentinel on different portal. No, not yet. It takes longer than I expected. Anyway, so this portal is also fine. After we get data in our SIEM system, we can create rules to detect something. So here I can configure number of rules. Let me give more space to you. I can configure a number of rules which can detect something that I feel like abnormal. So for example, NRT, NRT, forget about this word, security event log cleared. So if we see that security log was cleared on the server, it may be like attempt to cover the traces by attacker. So let's fire up alert if that happens. Or files copied to USB drives, shadow copies, deletion, and so forth. You can see here many alerts. I mean, that's the actual alerts, but we have even more alert templates that we can deploy, like mail, malicious inbox rule. If we deploy that, it will start to detect. Most of those rules will be based on KQL. So you remember that? We have logs, and we need to build the appropriate query to actually make a detection. Let me click on create rule. Next. And here you can see the actual query, which now looks a bit more complicated. I show you previously in the KQL. But of course, my goal was not to scare you with different KQL statements. Actually, there's nothing really complicated here. Just lots of operators, lots of conditions. So we built rules, and it will start to detect something from that I have in my logs and fire up alerts. So after I got alerts, I can investigate them. And for investigation, we use XDR. Let me go back to XDR. Even if I don't see Sentinel at this point, I can still show you investigation experience. I can click on my incidents. Here I have a couple of incidents. They generate some of those even today. So for example, here's the incident called hands-on keyboard attack was launched. And if I click on that, I can see here the client machine and different entities involved. I can see that user Michael Smith did something wrong here, and that's what happened. Password for stealing from files, sensitive information lookup, and so forth. So we don't need to go through every single alert, but we have here like a timeline of like a story of the alerts that were executed. I mean, detected fired on the device. I can see a graph of entities involved, and then I can like work with entities to understand better about incident, and then make investigation. First, I can see affected entities, my client machine, and the user. Oh, Michael Smith. Isn't this user was risky? Let me check that. I can open the user, and I can see that user risk inside. It has insider risk, which is currently low. And will you show me the risk in Entra? Not right here. I can see I can mark as compromise, but it doesn't show me the current risk level in Entra. I can go to user page, and that's where I'm going to find everything. Still doesn't show up that this user is risky. Oh no, sorry, wait a second. It says risk not available. Okay, yeah, that makes sense. Not in this tenant. My user is available in is risky in a different tenant. So here, this user is not yet risky. So I can investigate entities. in the incident, I can find out like about users and devices. I can look at the evidences, like files that were dropped, and I can see here that files like a netcat, mimikatz, sharphound, they look to be malicious or even or suspicious. So all of this can be used for incident investigation. And if I click on manage incidents, I can do here like change severity, rename the incident, assign the owner of the incident, and change the status, classify it. So like a normal security operations in SOC. Honestly, there is a course that has more details about operations specifically. SC200, I will show you that slightly later on the slide. But AZ500 that we are talking about now, I mean, Azure security, also has operations, maybe less detailed, but it has it. So that is about Sentinel, I mean, incidents. And one last thing about Sentinel and operations, we can automate the response. So if alert pops up, we may run the response automatically and just make some changes or notifications automatically as well. So in Sentinel, we have automated features. So one of the most basic features is called assign owner, where I can automatically assign the user owner user. So for example, here, if there's a new incident, I just need to assign automatically user, let's say Michael Smith. Click on apply. Now for every incident that appear in my SOC, I mean in my XDR or Sentinel, I will have user Michael Smith assigned as the owner. This one is quite simple automation, but if you would like to move to more advanced automation, it is possible, and this is called playbooks. Playbooks, that's where we build workflow ourselves and build the whole logic ourselves as well. I can show you some examples real quick. If I look at my playbooks, let's take this approval workflow playbook. This playbook just very simple, and the goal of this playbook, I don't run it. So it may even show that there are some expired token. It's not a problem. So the goal here is just to show you the logic. So here I have the Sentinel alert, and after Sentinel alert like happened, I will extract entities from the alert. Do you remember that users, devices? In this case, I will get users from the alert. Then from each, there's a token expired, not a problem at all. I don't run it. I just want to show you the logic. And here for each user, I will make a request into Entra to gather more information about user, like job title, department, email address, and all of this that's stored in Entra. So I'll gather information about the user in Entra. And then I'm going to send email for approval to this user and with a question, hey, dear user, are you aware of this activity? Can you approve that was legit activity? Because we found that you sign in from any country. You sign in from the country for something like this. Was it like a legit attempt? And then user need to say yes or no in the email. And then we would like to track user response yes. So if user said yes, so we assume here user said yes. If user said yes, then we just add commentary that it was false positive, user was somewhere on a business trip, whatever. But if user said no, then we're going to update user, and what is going to be updated is the property called account enabled no. So we'll disable account and add more commentary. User account has been blocked. Just an example. Here, you don't need to copy this playbook. The idea of this, I just want to show you that we can build our own workflow and build our own logic. So it is possible to do it in Sentinel if you need it. Okay, and finally, you can see here on the slide, threat hunting and workbooks. So threat hunting we perform using KQL, because threat hunting, that's where we go into logs and look for the events themselves manually, and that's where we use KQL. What about workbooks? Workbooks, that's the way to visualize. So create our own dashboards. And let me quickly show you that. Let me click to any of the dashboards. And let me use, let's say, workspace usage report, view workbook. And here it visualize, it shows me some visuals. So workbooks, that's the way to visualize dashboards. Honestly, it's all based on KQL as well. So you use KQL to retrieve data and just visualize it. All right, so we are reached to the end of the. Honestly, I didn't show the slide called demo, but we reached to the end of the demo section and reached the end of the technical session. What we have left today, we have Q&A, and we have some kind of slides with, let's call it, call to action. What we've learned. First of all, we made quick intro into Azure security. We talk about identity and access management. We talk about data security and applications. We did some security operations. All of that in the 2 hours. I know that's a lot of information, but trust me, it could be even, let's say, worse or more, because the Azure security and Microsoft security in general has so much stuff that even the week of or 2 weeks may not be enough just to go through all of those solutions. But I try to give some ideas about different services. And please keep in mind, they are not a random solution that's separated from each other. Do you remember in the beginning we made intro into Zero Trust? And if you just think about different services, how they can, which principle they implement, you can find it. Again, let's say verify explicitly, conditional access, least privilege access, PIM. Let's say assume breach. In that case, threat detection, encryption at rest, all of this about assume breach. So each of the services, they are not just a random service that created by Microsoft just for fun. That's the way to implement our Zero Trust. All right, so now most important slides. What should you do? Well, continue your learning and certification. This webinar didn't have any exam in the end. So it just information, and not only information that has like number of perks, but still, there's no exam. But Microsoft has a number of exams. You're probably aware of this. If you are on this webinar, you probably heard of the AZ500, SC200, and so forth, different hundreds. So generally speaking, certification is quite important because certified employees get greater recognition of themselves. And so they have more chances to, some companies, they have requirements to get certified for promotion, or to apply for the role, and so forth. So badges, of course, nothing can beat your skills and the knowledge, but badges may be used as the quick proof and like a door opener in different circumstances. You may have your personal benefits. You also may, the companies themselves, the companies that you work for, also get benefits from your certification, not only because of the badge itself, but because to get certified, you need to learn things. Normally, you need to know things more. You need to train you need to, in preparation for the exam, it still requires you to gain some skills and knowledge. And in that case, well-trained, certified teams, you can see it even in blue, well-trained and certified teams are almost 20% more productive than other stuff. And when it comes to security, it's not just about to be productive, but a company is 20% safer, maybe not 20%, but 20%, maybe more, maybe less, 20% safer than the one that do not have employees that well-trained employees. So that's the win-win situation for employees and for the business. If you get certified, anyone else within your company. So you can take an exam. You can take an exam. Just pay for the exam, schedule it, and take it. But in that case, you need to learn stuff yourself. That's the one way. Another way, you can take a course called instructor-led training course. And you may have an instructor that will not just go through slides, but also show you stuff like I tried to do today. So you will definitely learn a bit faster if you just have the course instructor-led training course. You'll also have chance to access labs and try the stuff yourself. So sometimes for some companies, that's the only chance, because they cannot use their production subscription for experiments. But on the exam, in the class, during the course, they have lab access where they can experiment. So instructor-led training gives you some benefits, like the trainer with experience, lab access, recordings, access to the learner portal, and you can also, if you fail, if you fail the exam, you can try the course again, and find out your gaps in the knowledge. Because to be fair, it's hard to, especially if you're new to this stuff, it may be hard to fit everything from the course from this just even in the week time. So you have free repeats and 24/7 support. After you got the badge, you just need to renew your certification for free. Renewal's quite straightforward. You just need to take a simple practice test. Then you can also use Google or whatever you prefer to use as the search engine. And so renewal, as long as you keep an eye on the renewal date and don't miss the renewal, then you will renew it quite easily. So call to action. I promised call to action. Call to action here is the let's get trained and certified.
Thank you, Ronald. That was very informative. I know everyone is looking forward to the Q&A session, so go ahead and start putting your questions into the questions panel. And while you do that, I would like to give the presentation rights over to Sagnik, our vendor manager, to introduce you to our promotions and webinar related courses.
Thank you so much, Tracy. Hello, everyone. So as you can see on my screen, this is the event handout that you all have received. Once again, we thank you all for taking out the time and joining our masterclass today. As part of this handout, you'd see the content section wherein the different sections within the document have been listed here, and everything is hyperlinked. So you can quickly use these links to jump to the specific section of the document. Before we proceed, it's worth mentioning that Netcom Learning, we are the proud winners of the Microsoft Partner of the Year award for 2 years in a row. So as we say, the legacy continues. In 2022, we were the Partner of the Year worldwide, and in 2023, we were the Partner of the Year for United States. And we are also a Microsoft Cloud Solutions partner. That means that we have capabilities across all the 6 solution areas recognized by Microsoft. A few more things about us. We are in the training industry for over 25 years now, having serviced over 80% of the Fortune 1000 companies, serviced 100 plus US military bases. Overall, we have trained 1 million plus professionals across 36,000 plus unique enterprises, and we enjoy a 96% recommendation rate from our customers. All our trainings on Microsoft are delivered by instructors that are certified and authorized by Microsoft. And our overall instructor pool stands at about 3,200 plus certified professionals. We are your one-stop solution for all your corporate upskilling needs with official training across every major technology and business solution provider. So as we can see over here, we are an authorized training partner for all the industry leaders across Microsoft, AWS, Cisco, CompTIA, PMI, EC Council, and others. Now, within this handout, you would also find this particular page wherein you can find the session recording. You can use the link to access the recording for today's session and revisit the concepts that were covered in today's masterclass. On this page, you'd find the link to access your complimentary courseware and the digital badges. The same landing page that we covered at the beginning of my presentation. You can find the direct access link here, and the link to which is also available on your chat on GoToWebinar. Also, all the participants will be given access to Netcom 365. It is our student portal that includes a lot of features and resources for you to take advantage of to supercharge your skilling journey. All you need to do if you're accessing it and activating it for the first time is set up your password and then you'd be good to go. We highly recommend everyone to explore our learning portal to take full advantage of all your skilling resources. Now let's quickly take a look at some of the latest offers on Microsoft trainings and certifications. First off, we have the Microsoft Quick Start program, which is applicable across the entire portfolio, encompassing Azure, Security, Microsoft 365, Dynamics 365, and Power Platform. It is truly the best in class exclusive enterprise discount offering on your end-to-end Microsoft training across the official portfolio. The pricing model is quite simple and straightforward. If you have a team, if whether you are a large organization or a small organization, and you have a team to train across departments or within the same department, we have two options for you depending on your team size. If you are looking to train more than 15 learners, you would be getting a flat discounted pricing of $300 per day per learner. And of course, as the number of days for the particular training increases, the amount also increases, but you get significant savings on this. If you are having a smaller team that is 14 learners or less, then you still are entitled to a $400 discounted flat pricing per day per learner. This really accounts to huge savings when it comes to large scale training. So we highly recommend everyone to get in touch with us, explore the offering, by clicking on the link provided in this handout. And all your trainings can also be customized based on the specific projects and workloads that you and your team, your organization is working on. And our industry specific subject matter expertise encompasses a wide range of verticals, as you can see over here, from banking and financial services, healthcare, federal and state and local government, to education, energy, manufacturing, retail, consumer goods, and more. Now, we'd like to also quickly go over some facts about Microsoft certifications. Role-based and specialty certifications tend to expire within 1 year, right? You need to maintain, in order to maintain your certification from Microsoft, you need to renew them before they expire. And the renewal process from Microsoft is really simple and easy, and it is cost effective because it's free of cost. You don't have to pay any additional fees to continue maintaining your certification, right? So please make sure to go through this insightful ebook, The Win-Win of Certification. So in case you're planning to get officially Microsoft certified on one of these role-based certifications, this is a great resource for you to know inside out about all the perks that these have to offer. Also, in case you have a team and before you commit to maybe a quick start program for training your team extensively, maybe you want to go for a test drive, right? You want to understand how it adds value to your team, whether it's the right solution for you, whether training is making business sense for your team. We have an ideal solution for you to assess that precisely, right? So for our enterprise customers with teams of 10 or more members, we have the 2 hour private group training demo as a solution, which is also customizable. So our SMEs are going to connect with you, understand what your requirements are. They're going to prepare a targeted skilling plan, and then we are going to customize a 2 hour training for your team as a demo for a more extensive training engagement in case you see the value out of it. And all of these training sessions are delivered from our top Microsoft certified trainers. So this is a great tool. Please make sure to leverage it in case you are planning to explore more training opportunities. And last but not the least, we also have a learning passport, which is our go-to tool for year-long end-to-end enterprise training requirements. It is the ultimate flexible team training package. Irrespective of where your team members are located, irrespective of which modality you need to train your team on, or on which technology or vendor you need to train your team on, the Learning Passport is the ultimate solution. You get access to 4,000 plus official courses. You get flexible fund validity of 12 months. So whatever you invest as part of your Learning a Passport account fund, we we almost doubled it, right? In case, depending on the amount that you are investing, Netcom Learning also pitches in, contributes to grow your overall fund value so you can train your team to the maximum possible amount that your funds allow you to do. So this is a great tool. Please make sure to explore it in case this is something that you are planning to deploy and you're planning to train your team on AI, Copilot, or any other solution. Also on this deck, you will find some Microsoft recommended courses related to today's topic, as well as a couple of free resources which are mapped here. We highly encourage you to explore these post the session and get in touch with us in case you have any specific skilling requirements. We would love to help you in your skilling journey. With that, please make sure to follow us for the latest updates on IT and business training through our social handles across LinkedIn, Instagram, YouTube, and Twitter. And with that, we are done for this session. Thank you so much. Thank you, everyone, for joining us today.
Thanks so much for guiding us through that information, Sagnik. And now we're going to go ahead and jump right into our question and answer session. Question 1 is, how does conditional access enforce zero trust principles in Entra ID, and which signals are most important when designing policies?
Okay. Um, Okay, so how conditional access relate to zero trust? Do you remember the core principle, verify explicitly? So the idea of that of this principle is that you need to have number of, so you don't only use like a password for verification, you use number of signals. And so with conditional access, we can enforce this, like we can check, all right, so we would like to use location, risk, and so on. And you also mentioned about the signals, which is more important, which is less important. I don't call that any of them more or less important, but I can say that some of them more popular and less popular. And one of the most popular is location. Location, like your geographical location, like IP address or country where user is currently residing. That's the one of the most popular signal. And maybe less popular is the device platform. It also depends. We have different policies, but device platform, let's say, might be a bit less popular because it's not really security, so not really security signal. It may be easily bypassed by changing user agent. So it's less popular. They are all important, but I would say location is one of the top policies that many companies use because they can really limit access from certain countries. Next question.
Question 2 is, what are the key differences between Azure RBAC and Entra ID roles when securing access to Azure resources, and when would you use each?
Okay, so generally speaking, RBAC, if I clearly understood the question, RBAC in Azure and RBAC in Entra, they like the configuration itself is kind of similar, but the key difference is in the scope. So Entra roles, they are about Entra applications like access, like Teams, change, and other global admin, security, purview. So all of this is then available on the tenant level. And Azure roles, they are about resources you deploy in Azure, like virtual machines, virtual networks, app services, and so forth. So if you want to configure them, interface is kind of similar, and for both of them, PIM works, but just they have really different scope. All right, anything else?
Question 3 is, when designing a network security strategy in Azure, how would you decide between using a network security group NSG and Azure Firewall?
Okay, so honestly, in this webinar, we didn't talk about that a bit about NSG. Of course, that's the topic of the course, and if you look at the AZ 500 exam and the course, it is all there. But in our 2 hours webinar, we didn't talk about NSGs and firewall. So there's no really, let's say, there's no difference because you should not ask questions like that. What is the difference between NSG and firewall? Because they are not really alternatives. They should be used both because they have different layers. They represent different layers of protection. And probably you heard about defense and def. And we need to have layers of protection. And firewall will be one on the one layer, and NSG will be another layer. So here, honestly, because we didn't talk about that in details, we didn't talk about that at all on the webinar. Just check yourself about defense and def, or of course, always welcome on the course where we have more information about that. But that's a great question. That like honestly, many people ask this question like, what should we use, NSG or firewall? And the answer is ideally both because it's just represent different layers of protection.
Once again, I want to remind you that as you leave this session today, you will be presented with a short survey. We would like to request for you to help us by taking a quick moment to participate in that survey. Your feedback really helps us understand your learning experience as we are constantly looking at how we can improve our future sessions. The survey answers are measured on a scale of 1 to 5, 5 representing outstanding and 1 representing poor. We want to thank all of you for joining us today, and if you do come up with any additional questions, feel free to send them to webinar@netcomlearning.com at any time. We hope that you found today's webinar informative, and we look forward to seeing you back here with us soon. Feel free to tell your friends and colleagues about our webinars and other courses. Have a great day, everyone.